Do you have trouble remembering all the magic that you know? Do you sometimes forget how to perform something that you used to be quite good at? Do you have a backlog of effects that you'd like to learn, but you find it can be overwhelming at times? Well, I found a tool that's helped me to get a handle on my magic, and I'm making this video because I want to share it with you. The tool is called Trello. It's a free website. It lets you create boards. It lets you put lists on boards and put cards on lists and move everything around. But to show you how that can help you with your magic, let's take a look. To get started, you need an account. So go to Trello.com and click on the Get Trello for Free link. Then you have your choice of how you want to sign up. I'll just go ahead and use my Google account for this demo. Now that we're signed into Trello, let's start using it. First, we create a board. You could create as many boards as you like, but for what I'm going to show you, we only need a single board. It's like the bulletin board that will contain all of our magic. So let's call it Magic. Now that we have our magic board, let's go ahead and create our lists. The simple system I'm going to show you has just 4 lists. Let's create them. The first one is Backlog. The second is Practice Shortlist. The third is Rusty. And the fourth is called Performance Ready. Now that we have all our lists, we can start creating cards. Each magic trick gets its own card. Once you're set up and using Trello, as soon as you hear about an effect that you're interested in, as soon as you buy a magic trick, as soon as you read about a trick that you want to come back to, that is when it goes onto the backlog list. It only takes a couple of seconds to log it, and it's a great way to keep track of everything that you've acquired or are interested in learning. Let's go ahead and add a bunch of tricks to the backlog. We have a big backlog now, but we can't learn everything all at once. That's actually where a lot of people get overwhelmed. This is where the practice shortlist comes in. Pick a few tricks that you want to focus on and drag them over to the practice shortlist. If you want, you can also drag them around the list to prioritize them. I'm going to work on Dr. Daly's last trick, ambitious card, and cups and balls. Once you're confident that you can perform a trick, it's time to drag it over to the performance ready list. I'm finally happy with my ambitious card routine, so I'm going to drag it over. You probably have a lot of things that you're comfortable performing today. Those cards can be created directly on the performance ready list. Let's add some now. As time passes, you may look at the performance ready list and see a trick or two that you haven't performed in a while. If you're no longer confident that you can perform it, no problem. Just drag it to the rusty list. As an example, I haven't done ring and string in a while and I've forgotten the moves. I'll just drag it over to the rusty list so I know I have to put some time into brushing up on it. Anytime you feel comfortable with a trick on the rusty list, you could drag it back to the performance ready list. So those are the basics of using Trello to manage your magic. If you want to be able to access Trello on your phone, you can download their mobile app. I'll show you a few more things that you can do with Trello. Let's say you've been asked to put on a show. You can create a new list and call it Set List. You can then start dragging tricks from your Performance Ready list over to the Set List. You can play around with reordering them and actually build the set list for your show. When you're done, you can simply drag them all back to your Performance Ready list. Let's take a look at one of the cards to see a few more things that we can do with Trello. Just click on the card and it will open. For a lot of my tricks, I'll record a brief video of myself explaining the trick. This is great for whenever I need a refresher. I upload all those videos to YouTube and I keep them as unlisted videos. I can then put those links in the Trello card and it makes it super easy for me to view brief refresher videos for any trick that I've forgotten. Many tricks today come with online video links and passwords that are hard to keep track of. With Trello, you can type those details into the card and you'll always be able to find the instructions. Sometimes I'll write out the steps to a trick, or I'll have some notes for myself. Those can easily be added to the card. If you have other photos or screenshots, they can be added to the card as well. The power of Trello is that it's highly customizable, so you'll probably find some tweaks that work for you. One recent tweak that I made was to add 2 additional lists to my board. I added Everyday Carry and Utility Moves. I dragged all my utility moves over to its own list. I still want to keep track of them, but they aren't standalone effects, so I like to keep them on their own list. I dragged all my everyday carry items to a separate list as well. These aren't just the things I carry with me every day, they're common things that I'll take with me if I'm going somewhere. It's great to have them on their own list. If I'm going out for dinner and I want to bring some magic, I'll glance at my everyday carry list and I'll see what I want to bring with me that night. If an everyday carry trick or a utility move gets rusty, I can drag it to the rusty list and brush up on it when I have the time, and then drag it back. So once again, here are the basics. You come across a few new tricks that interest you, just add them to your backlog and you won't forget them. When you're ready to work on an effect, drag it to your practice shortlist, but don't overwhelm yourself. Keep that list to a manageable set. If you're getting tired of working on something and you want to give it a break for a while, you could drag it back to the backlog and focus on some other items on your practice shortlist. At any given point in time, the practice shortlist should be all the things that you're actively working on. When you're good enough to perform an effect, drag it over to the performance ready list. And that's all you need to know to get going with Trello for managing your magic. Well, I hope you enjoyed the demo, and if you do decide to give Trello a try, I hope you find it as useful as I do.